Hi, I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the September 29th, 2017 edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details. We are looking at Exodus, and we were looking at what Moses said to the people as they were confronting the Red Sea in front of them and Pharaoh's army behind them. And you remember that yesterday we said that the first thing out of his mouth on behalf of the Lord was, as recorded in Exodus 14, was fear not, or do not be afraid. And what a wonderful, encouraging beginning to a message that is, and how often in the Bible that's how God begins his salutations to people, both as groups and as individuals. But then Moses went on to say that they were to keep quiet. They were to keep quiet. They were to stand firm, but keep quiet. And also that God was going to fight for them and deliver them. Another way of saying it is provide salvation for them. Now, interestingly, the Hebrew word that is being used there for salvation or deliverance, whatever your translation says, is actually a word that means to bring you out into a expansive, wider location. And you know, that's very interesting to me, because there's a phrase that you've probably heard before: I'm in a tight place, or I feel squeezed, like money is tight and I'm being squeezed. It's that idea that when things are not good, your options have been narrowed, your options have been decreased, and it's like you're in a tight spot, literally. And then when more options happen, when salvation comes and deliverance and something happens that changes your circumstances, it's like you have that wonderful feeling of literally your vistage is opening, your opportunities are enlarging. It's like going from a cramped space into a larger space. And that is exactly the terminology that is being used by Moses here, is that God is going to take you from a tight space into an expansive space. I was sharing with my Sunday school class that back in 1985, when I was a senior at Florida Southern College, it was the 100th anniversary of the college, and during the centennial year, there were several of us who were picked to be ambassadors and tour guides for that momentous year. And it meant that we got trained by the main protege of Frank Lloyd Wright, a man named Neil Schweitzer, who was at that time actually dying of throat cancer. And I can remember walking Florida Southern campus with Neil Schweitzer as he was telling us stories and preparing us to do tours, particularly for architects from around the world who were going to be coming to the campus during that year. And one of the things that I remember him talking about was how oftentimes, and if you know Florida Southern College, you're really going to know what I'm talking about. Many times he would have the entrance of a building be very confined, almost cave-like. People sometimes would say, oh, he was short. You know, Frank Lloyd Wright was short. He hated tall people and he's trying to knock them out or something. No, that wasn't it at all. He loved the feeling of making you feel cramped for just a moment and then opening up the interior space in soaring beauty and very unique ways. It was an expression of surprise and delight and freedom after that brief moment of feeling squeezed. The Danforth Chapel is a great example of that, those of you that know Florida Southern. But I thought of that, I thought of how when you do feel like you're having to bend down and you're cramped and all, what a wonderful feeling of freedom. It's a beautiful description. And when God is going to fight for you, when you feel hope is lost, when you feel cramped and you feel literally just there's nowhere to go, that feeling that God is going to come in and make things wider, better, bigger, more expansive, give you room to breathe and room to maneuver because you have options. It's a beautiful, beautiful promise. So while you're still maybe feeling a little squeezed by life circumstances, remember, God says, I will deliver, I will save, I will widen the place for you to give you more room to maneuver and to breathe. Join me tomorrow on the next edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details. Have a great night.